Hello everyone and welcome to Werven's World and part 2 of my tutorials on NPC traders. So last episode we hired a trader and it's in my ship now, and I was actually a bit worried because it doesn't show up in passengers here, so I thought it might have bugged out. But actually here it's in manage ship, and then in crew you can see the pilots that we hired last time. So in order to make him fly a ship we have to give him a ship, of course. So I look into my hangar and I see I still have a Seraph. So let's give that to him. So the cool thing about this, in a sense, is that this pilot doesn't really know how to fly fast. So if I refit the ship, then you can see here actually I've optimized the cargo space because this one is fine with a class 1 reactor and a class 1 capacitor. While if you fly yourself, you actually really need to have a class 12 reactor and a class 12 capacitor in order to really, well, be able to use your warp drive. But this guy doesn't know how to use a warp drive, so he doesn't get one. So on your own ship you can never do anything without a warp drive, but this one you can actually take it out and then just replace the reactor and capacitor with a level 1 and with 2 level 1s. Furthermore, he can't use a hyperdrive, so he doesn't get that either. And for the rest, well, he just gets level 1 of everything, so like level 1 mining beam, shield, armor, ram scoop, salvage beam, that kind of stuff. The only thing that needs to be level 12 is the gravity generator, the propulsion system, the electronics, and the computer. So basically doing that, we actually get a fair amount of tonnage out of our ship. So then that's fine. So I then go to end refit and I go back to my Archon. There we go. There, so then we can go to our crew. Crew, select crew, Kane Watson. And then select ship, Seraph. And then we can assign him. Pilot assigned to CG Dredgy Duck, Seraph 12. Okay, that's perfect. So then we have a pilot, Kane Watson, because he just became a pilot. He got upgraded. So we can click on him and then we can open the chat box. Say hi. How are you? He's okay. That's good. So then we can actually say he should start trading. However, what should he trade for? Well, we can start and have a look. I know that I'm selling carbon at my place in Carbonite for not so much money, and I happen to know from the forums that Prolapser is buying carbon for some gate projects in Prime. So we can actually see that in the stock market. So if we say buy carbon, then you can see here that Prolapser Trade Station in Prime, no, Prolapser Trade Station Prime it's called. Let me write that down so that I can actually type it. Is offering to buy a lot of carbon for 222 credits each. So I'll just make my NPC trader whole to Prolapser there and make a bit of profit in the meantime. Of course, I could make more profits selling to these ones, for example, but I think Nexus Orbital Platform is actually pretty far away. It's in Miner's Paradise, yeah. So mine, my colony is in Black Hell, which is a lot of gates to travel. Like it's Minor Paradise, Pomona, Ubertus, Apollo, Veritas, Prime, Ultima, and then Carbonite. So that's way too many gates to traverse because it's actually very slow. While Prolapser Station is in Prime, and that's only 2 systems away from my colony. So let's send our NPC to trade there. So we go to manage ship, pilots, Kane. So then I say trade between. Then you need to put in your colony. You don't need your system, so I don't need to put in Carbonite. I just say a nice place. I'm not entirely sure if this is sensitive to caps or not, but one thing that's very important is that if you have spaces in a name, you actually use underscores instead. So then I say trade between a nice place and Prolapser Trade Station Prime. And then basically he will go to my colony and he will find out whatever there is to have a profit with, which will be the carbon, because I'm not selling anything else but carbon and fruit at a nice place. And at Prolapse the trade station, he's buying the carbon. So then he flies back to a nice place. You can also give him waypoints. So I could say fly to a nice place and Prolapse the trade station and this and that. So basically that he just goes from station to station and checks what gives him a profit. So then I press enter. Trade between a nice place and Prolapse the trade station prime. Trade route between a nice place and Prolapse the trade station prime. Yes. Okay, that's now my trade route. Perfect. So he will now slowly start basically finding out hauling. So that's how you set up a trader. You can also kind of keep track about what they're doing, and that's basically you just say, where are you? In my ship in Apollo space. What are you doing? I'm working a trade route. Okay, so that's perfect. So now he's just he will slowly trade and basically making me money. So at the moment it's not very deep yet, but at some point these NPCs will get personalities, and they might even make a mutiny and leave with your ship and all that kind of stuff. You have to keep them happy, but that's not really in yet. So at the moment it's fairly basic. You can basically just set up trade routes. You can either set them to trade between colonies, or between colonies and outer space bases, or outer space bases and outer space bases, because nowadays you can buy a blueprint that you can actually build a stock market at your outer space station. So that's also a possibility that, for example, let's say I want to haul all the carbon I have on my colony to my space station, then I can just put in trade route between a nice place and the space station I have there. I think I called it the less nice place. So then it will just haul between those two if I put a buy price on carbon on that stock market. Of course, that also means that if I put a buying price on the stock market there, then other people are also happy to sell to me. So in that sense, if you're not careful with your prices and stuff, you might actually run out of money fairly fast, because other people are taking advantage of your prices as well. So with that, I hope you found it useful, and see you next time.